After years of abstaining from fat, the most calorie-dense macronutrient, there is new research that suggests that fat should actually take a more prominent place in your diet. Now, this abrupt about-face has been difficult for many people to accept, especially after the U.S. government dietary guidelines for Americans and other health authorities have hammered home the message that fat is public enemy number one, especially if you're concerned about heart disease or you're just trying to live a healthy lifestyle. It's been repeated so frequently that people just believe it as fact. My name is Bonnie London, and after nearly 30 years of working to inspire individuals as a personal trainer and then a dietitian, it is my goal to provide you with the latest tricks to achieve your personal weight or health goals. Now, in today's video, I am going to review with you why you might want to reconsider fat. Now, unfortunately, this recommendation to take in as many as 6 to 11 servings of bread, pasta, or potatoes while consuming saturated fat or cholesterol very sparingly, I would suggest has been a crazy experiment on the American population that has gone very wrong. Okay, I mean, since 1980, when the food pyramid was first introduced, we have witnessed an explosion of obesity. In fact, upwards of 40% or more of the population is considered to be obese, and the number is increasing. In addition, the chronic diseases that are often associated with an unhealthy diet and lifestyle have also dramatically increased, surpassing for the first time in 100 years infectious disease as the #1 cause of death. And the end result is that the medical costs of managing obesity and associated chronic diseases have skyrocketed into the trillions of dollars. Okay, let us break this down for a minute here. When the U.S. recommended that we remove saturated fat and cholesterol from our diet, we didn't just start eating vegetables. Saturated fat were replaced primarily with sugar and seed oils, both including liquid oils and also hydrogenated, such as margarine. Now, this shift in the composition of our diet has positively been associated with the rise in obesity and chronic disease that currently are plaguing our modern day culture. Now, let us take a closer look at sugar for a moment and its rise to fame. Let's face it, when fat is removed, the satisfaction we get from eating those foods went way down. But no problem, says the food industry. Sugar makes everything taste good. Bonus, sugar is also extremely addictive and has been proven to be as much as 10 times more addictive than even the drug heroin. And sugar doesn't ever tell your body that it's full. So according to your brain, your food train will never arrive at the station. Sugar is the only substance that can be considered both a carbohydrate and a fat. Pretty special because of its unique ability to drive glucose signaling insulin to store excess calories as fat. Now, the body has a very limited ability to store glucose. So unless you are engaging in a considerable amount of activity, your fat cells will be well fed and expand as is necessary. Now, lastly, sugar enjoys roughly 61 different names. So good luck in trying to find it on an ingredient list. Okay, so now let's look at the PUFAs, which are also known as the polyunsaturated fats. They have their ranks in these seed oils, such as corn, soybean, and also canola oil, which are very, very high in omega-6 fatty acid. Now, these fats have permeated our entire food supply, charading as a better replacement for saturated fat. Now, these fats, unfortunately, because they are polyunsaturated, have definitely been linked with more oxidation, which is not good for heart disease, and inflammation. So when we've never consumed these fats in this amount ever before in human history. This oil definitely, again, contributes not just to inflammation, but to the diseases of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and also, unfortunately, neurological disorders, and even depression. Omega-3, on the other hand, which I am a big fan of, has been credited with helping inflammation, and it certainly gives wild salmon its top ratings as a superfood. Just so you understand that the beginning of the last century, the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio was roughly 3-to-1, and today it's nearly 30-to-1 in favor of omega-6. Unfortunately, though, you can't just pop an omega-3 supplement or eat a bunch of fish because it actually goes into the same part of the cell as the omega-6. So you really have to, I'm gonna say it, put down the fries, all the processed crackers. Salad dressing too is another one you need to look at the ingredients. And then, yes, you know, pick up the sockeye salmon. Okay, now for the good news. Fat is back and fantastic, and let's face it, it tastes good. And isn't that what we really want? Food should taste good and not like cardboard. I confess, I do not love steamed vegetables. However, roasted vegetables with a generous amount of olive oil, garlic, and seasoning, and we got something. What about salad? Maybe you don't love it that much, but maybe it's that fat-free dressing that you've been using. Switch to some homemade or just some simple olive oil and vinegar or lemon, and maybe you'll turn into a lettuce lover. Even saturated fat was taken off the danger list, according to a recent article in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, where they recommend eliminating population-wide upper limits on saturated fat in the United States because it won't reduce the risk of heart attack or death. They go on to say that restricting saturated fats is potentially harmful because of the foods that we find them in that contain necessary nutrients along with the fat. For example, they specifically talk about red meat, full-fat dairy, coconut oil, or chocolate. And then they finally state that using diet to lower your LDL cholesterol has never been shown to impact heart disease. So how about eating an entire egg with the yolk and maybe even a little cheese? Fat also keeps you satiated and full. In fact, fat is the only macronutrient that has the smallest amount of a trigger on insulin. And this is really, really important because insulin is the hormone responsible for fat storage. So the fat that you're eating does not necessarily become the fat in your body. Okay, so what does produce those dangerous lipids in your body? Turns out it's those carbohydrates, particularly high glycemic processed carbohydrates. In other words, take the 1980 food pyramid and turn it upside down. So the next time you need a little snack to carry you over to your next meal, put down the pretzels and reach for the olives or some nuts and seeds. The final takeaway here is simple. Food should taste good and be good for us. Let us take a lesson from the Mediterranean diet, the most well-researched diet on the planet, which has been proven to decrease inflammation and associated chronic diseases. And their diet includes moderate amounts of cheese, chocolate, red wine. The Mediterranean diet also happens to include a healthy amount of fat, including olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fish. Well, I, for one, would like to say cheers and bon appetit. Now, if you found this video helpful, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell and be notified of every new video. If you would like to discuss your personal situation, there is a link in the description below to book a no-cost call. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.